hook lying cross connect. So I'm going to set myself up in a hook lying position initially before bringing in the cross connect, and really getting a good hook lying cross connect. If we can get the foundation right in the hook lying position itself, we get a much better cross connect as a result. So what we're trying to really establish in this hook lying position is the bony contacts that we want to have present once it comes to the cross connect position. So when we're talking the bony contacts, we're talking about contacts at the foot, the pelvis, the rib cage, the upper rib cage, and the base of your skull. When we're talking a foot, we're talking about the inside edge of the heel, the outside edge of the heel, the base of the little toe, the base of the big toe. All four are in contact with the ground. We're just trying to bias pressure to those inside contacts, particularly heel heavy. When we're talking the pelvis, we've got a little thing, a bony bump on the back of your pelvis called your PSIS. The way that we find that is if you find the top of your iliac crest on the side, if you run down the back side of your pelvis, you'll eventually run into a big bony bump, and that becomes another bony contact we want to make sure we have. The rib cage between the shoulder blade and your spine, again, is another area that we want to have nice and heavy on the ground. And then some bony bumps at the base of your skull also serve as a bony contact that we want to have. So generally we're trying to sort of establish the pressure or the heaviness up the chain through the feet. So we want to make sure to begin with that I'm able to make contact with those bony points of my feet. Again, I'm going to try and bias pressure heavier on the inside of my foot while not losing that outside contact, and I'm heavier through the inside edge of the heel particularly. And if I get it right, I'll start to really feel my hamstrings kick in. I'm going to use that pressure through the feet to try and slide myself a lot up the ground. So effectively I'm not going to move anywhere per se, I'm just going to try and sort of drag my skin along the ground. As I do so, I'm going to try and keep a soft tummy, and what I'll find is that I get heavier on that PSIS contact that I was referring to in the pelvis, heavier on that rib cage between the spine and the shoulder blades, and again I'll sort of slide along the back of my skull and I'll get heavier on those bony bumps at the base of my skull. When I establish this serves as my frame of reference for how far I can move limbs in my cross connect position. So the cross connect position quickly will look something to this effect, but in doing this I'm trying to hold on to these contacts that I established. So if I'm to take a knee towards, so in this case I try and take my knee towards my nose, I only take it as far as I'm able to maintain that pressure, that heaviness on the PSIS contact. So I can roll it a long way and I start to roll off those bony contacts. So that just gives me my frame of reference as to how far I'm taking this knee as it heads towards my nose. When I hit that point where I can't go any further because that heaviness will change, I'm going to take the hand on the same side, come around the outside of the shin and just cut my hand around that shin. And then I'm going to let that leg just fall into that arm, and it will create this nice passive stretch on the shoulder on that side. And I'm going to feel if a little bit more sort of heaviness or space between the shoulder blade and the spine on that left-hand side in this case. I'm going to try and then reach my right elbow towards my left knee. What I'm aiming to feel with this reach is a heavier pressure on that rib cage between the shoulder blade and the spine on that right hand side. So it ends up just being a game of having a bit of a play to see where that point is. I can roll, I can reach too far and I'll roll off that rib cage, or I can reach, not far enough and my shoulder blade effectively is in the way and I don't get into that rib cage region. So you have a bit of a play, you reach it in the direction of that knee. There's no expectation that they're supposed to touch. We're just trying to find that point where I'm heaviest on that rib cage on that right hand side. Once I've got those bony contacts still in play and the pressure's established, I'm just looking to take nice long slow breaths in through my nose, trying to get big into that right side with the breath and trying to hold position on that breath out. I'm just going to go through cycles of breath, holding that reach, holding the knee up towards the chest for my prescribed reps.